Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about initial balance. Everybody knows what initial balance is. It's the low and high of the first either 30 minutes or an hour of the session. For example, this is S&P 500. We had the low open here at 6:30 and then the high of around 7:15 here. And what nobody talks about is you could have also extension lines of the initial balance. You could have it set to 50% of the initial balance. 100%, which is basically the equivalent from here to here, is the same as the low to high, which is same as 100% here. And then you could do this up to like 6 times. And these areas, for example, as it's falling, these areas act as a pretty big support areas as the market is either falling or going up into these areas. And I wanted to make a quick video on how to set that up in Sierra chart as well as how I use it. So if at any point you find this video useful, I would encourage you to subscribe. I make videos like this all the time to help educate other traders. So let's begin. Here's a chart I just duplicated to show you how to set up initial balance. So what you're going to want to do is go to studies, find initial balance here, and you could apply and I'll show you how it looks like without setting it up at all. So what you're going to see is just lines currently from the session open, but this is the Eastern time session. I start at 6:30. I'm on Pacific time, so I'll have to modify that. It shows the low and high, and then as well as this midline here, which I sometimes have, but most of the time I have it removed. So going back to studies, let's open up the settings here. So what you want is to set it to initial balance of daily. This I'll set to my time here, 6:30 open Pacific time, and at 7 o'clock Pacific time AM. Weekly number of days, I have it set to 2. Round extension to a tick size, I have that yes. Number of days to calculate, you could have this. I just have the default number set. Number of minutes, 15 is fine. And then, yeah, use the start and end time. And this is where it gets interesting is you could also have the extension multiplier. This is the extensions that I was talking about, the 50%, 100, 150, and so on. You will have to go into subgraphs to actually display it, but in the meantime, before I do that, let's click apply, see how it looks currently. So right now, for example, this is the same chart as I have right here. What you see is, like, for example, this area, you would not be able to see it with the default settings, this area right here that acted as a support. So that's one thing we're going to be adding. But yeah, what we have here is the low and high of the session open here, and basically you could see that here as well. We have this midline that we could potentially remove if you don't find it useful. So let's go back into settings, open this, click subgraphs here, and this is where we could add the draw style to be, for example, I just select dash for the 6 extension 6 here. I just keep adding this for all the extension ones here. You could limit it to like the 50, the 100, 150, 200 only. I just have it enabled for all just to kind of visually see everything. So this is gonna be take some time here. Here you go. I skipped it ahead so you don't have to see me select all of these to dash. What you want to have is draw style to be set to dash for the extensions on the high side, and then also draw style for the IB low extensions on the low side. So that's what it looks like. Once you apply this, you'll see these lines that appear below, which is the extensions here. I could show you guys examples of the last few weeks, how it's been working. And these areas act as either support or resistance pretty well daily here. So here's some examples. Here's June 8th. We had some resistance here against the 100% move. Here's June 7th. We had a market that hit this, recovered, and then fell all the way to the 100% move and found support here. Here's June 6th, almost hit the 50% extension here, but didn't reach it, sold off a little bit, then hit it almost to the tick here into the close, and then just, yeah, could not breach it. Here's June 5th. This one kind of breached it, so not as clean, but definitely found some support here. And yeah, these are just the last like 4 or 5 days from the time I started showing this video, and it's almost working daily, and you could definitely find some value as you're trading and using your setup. One way I like to personally use it is using it with Delta, which shows the difference between buyers and sellers. And I could quickly just add it by going to studies. And what you'll add is the ask volume bid volume text here. And I'll link a video on how I set it up. So I'm going to fast forward all the default settings that I currently have enabled, but I'll skip over through and I'll just show you an example. So here you go. I clicked apply, and what you'll see is this is the difference between the buyers and sellers here on each bar now. And what I like to do is I like to see some support in the buyers as it's dropping into these areas. So here we had a bar that hit 1,300 more sellers than buyers. We had a slight push up of buyers here. And then, but this is kind of not enough for me to take action on. So then sold off. It did kind of push back higher. And then what I like to see is like this more 1,900, for example, more buyers and sellers, and then potentially use that as a trade in that direction off of these levels. And here's an example of the other days that I was showing that this was working on. So for example, June 7th, here is what I was showing. We had some buyers stepping into this area here, but then sellers stepped in and then pushed this lower. Then we had aggressive selling here, kind of pushed it lower. This is June 7th that I showed. We had a push lower, recovered here. A lot of buyers stepped in, pushed this a little bit higher for a nice little trade here. And then it continued dropping lower. And then you started seeing a lot of selling here, but they kept being absorbed until you see aggressive buyers just take over and push this a little bit higher. Here's June 8th. We see aggressive buyers with 2,400 delta attempt to push higher, got rejected, and some sellers stepped in. This one is a little bit tricky because you had next bar being a pretty aggressive buyers, so this could have potentially kept going up, but it looks like it just got rejected off of this area here and then sold off. So that pretty much sums up what I wanted to cover in this video. Again, thanks for watching, and hope you found this video useful.